You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit GearHandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
BooBaes.
BooBaes. Hi.
Hello and hi.
It's us.
It's us. You're BooBaes.
The BooBaes.
And I'm Caitlin.
And I'm
We're
Joshua.
off to a good start.
It's right. Always. As always. And today we're here to talk about some scary movies. And one in particular, The Faculty.
The Faculty. Yep. Rounding out our kind of back to
The
school.
school themed, kind of
Yeah.
films that we wanted to do.
Before we kick off the month-long October spooky fun.
I know. I'm so ready for this whole month.
Yay.
It's going to be really exciting.
Awesome.
I know. And so this was released in 1998, directed by Robert Rodriguez, and the screenplay was written by Kevin Williamson, who did literally Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Halloween H2O, and like one more other movie before this came out, I think.
Nice.
So yeah, he was on a string of hits basically
I see.
when this movie came out. And yeah, 98, it gives very 90s vibes
It does.
Yeah.
It sure does.
the whole time. And the cast, honestly, I didn't remember how many like people I was like,
There's
oh wow, this person's
a
in
lot
this,
of
this person's in
major
this.
names.
Yeah.
Like, or people who were very notable at that time.
Oh yeah.
Like, obviously, Elijah Wood. So that's
Most definitely.
huge. Usher.
Usher, Raymond, literally. And who else? It had Jean Grey,
Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek, yeah, Hayek, yes.
And then there's also
Clea DuVall, Jordana Brewster.
Josh Hartnett.
Hartnett,
He was
yeah.
in from 40 Days and 40 Nights. I guess also Pearl Harbor.
Jean Grey is Famke Janssen. That's right. Famke. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I think it's Famke Janssen.
So
but yeah,
and like
there
it
was
looks like
people.
a lot of these people
Robert
were
Patrick,
used for
Jon Stewart.
kind of other. I'm not looking at the list. I
Yeah.
don't know who these people are without seeing. Oh, Jon Stewart. I thought you said Sean Stewart, and I was like, I have no clue who that is ever.
Oh yeah, and everybody, even like some of the people, like some of the side, like even Mr. Tate, like I've seen him in a few things before. I don't know. His name's Daniel Von Bargen, but I know I've seen him in a few things back in the day. So
Hyde
it's
is
really
in
funny.
it.
Yeah, one of
From
the
that
students.
70s
That's
show.
right.
Yep.
There's so many people.
Bebe Newworth.
it's-
She was most notably in, and well, what is she most notably in?
I don't know.
She's in Frasier.
But basically, if you were
How to
in
Lose
this
a Guy
movie,
in 10 Days is what she's in my.
in your mind,
yeah, because
gotcha.
she's the
I've never
like.
seen that one.
Oh, it's such a good movie. She's the head, kind of like editor in chief or something for the magazine.
That's the one with Kate Hudson, right?
that Kate Hudson's character works for.
And so, yeah, basically, if you were in this movie, you were going to have a next good probably 10 years in Hollywood.
Yep. And then be irrelevant.
Just like everyone else. And so it basically opens up with, let's like any other kind of high school movie, 90s movie. It's opening up to...
A lot of the shots were super 90. Also,
very
it
much
was,
so.
everything was very grainy.
Yeah.
Green.
The whole movie, basically. I don't know
Which
if
I
that's
don't
a stylistic
dislike.
choice or if that's just how film I don't know, because it also gave me like I Know What You Did Last Summer vibes.
Yeah.
And some of the I was also kind of greeny. I don't know what that is. If it's the style of film choice that they're
I think
doing
it was probably just to go along with the nice grunge of the 90s.
stylistic choice.
Yeah.
And then immediately we get to see the coach being an asshole.
Yeah, he calls him pussy pukes.
There's a lot of
Like, what the fuck? There's a lot of weird ass insults
in this whole movie
and
that are
pussy
like
pukes is used multiple times.
and most of them are all like slurish, if not an actual slur sometimes. But it is the 90s as well. So yeah, we're getting to see that the coach is not like a nice coach.
He's got some major anger issues.
Yeah, really taking it on these football players.
Also, he looks like Smeagol.
Yeah, I can see that.
There was like one point where I was like, you are Smeagol.
Yeah, he's played by Robert Patrick, and I know I've seen him in a lot of other things. He's the bad guy in the Terminator,
Bridge to Terabithia. Yeah, I think
movie?
so.
Yeah. So
and it was like, I've not really like seen a lot of the Terminators. He was also in the X-Files for a long time.
Oh, he was the dad in Bridge to Terabithia.
Oh, he was also in Spy Kids.
R.I.P. Anna Sophia Robb. Oh, he was a bad guy in Spy Kids. That's right. Robert Rodriguez also directed Spy Kids.
Oh.
Robert Rodriguez has like a really like eclectic, wide. He's directed all kinds of movies.
He's in another movie with Elijah Wood.
Maybe they all run in circles.
That's why he looked like Smeagol.
Oh, that's right.
Frodo.
And so immediately after that, there's this like the kids are dismissed, the students are dismissed, and so he's looking at the turf, whatever, and there's like a hole in the ground, and then there's like water coming out of it.
Yeah,
basically, I think the sprinkler system is
I thought
up
it was a sprinkler
or something.
system.
Yeah.
I thought he was just being like fucking dumb as hell and like getting mad at the sprinkler system for popping up then.
Probably.
And then was just being completely irrational. That's what I feel like happened. Because it looked like a normal sprinkler going. And then he was like, no, stay underground, sprinkler.
Yeah.
Throwing a little hissy fit.
Seems like he'd probably throw a hissy fit for a lot of small things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he knocked over the whole bench of Gatorade for whatever reason. I guess Stan was playing poorly. I don't know.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like that ties in with like the, I guess, stereotype that I have for a coach like that of a football team. And so someone comes up to him. We don't see who this person is, and
Just
he's like, this better be important or something like that.
You're gonna run till a.m. till dawn.
So it had to have been a student, right? That's what that gives. Yeah. So at this point too, it then goes to them being in the the faculty lounge, and the principal is talking to the other teachers about the budget, and basically there ain't no budget.
Yep, no budget.
There's no money. There are no funds.
Can't have a musical. Can't go on a field trip to New York.
Yeah,
they're in Ohio. They can't do any of that.
Which I feel like even still would be expensive anywhere. Like going to New York, that's an expensive field trip.
I would, even if you live in New York.
Literally.
Taking the kids to another part of New York, too expensive.
That's expensive.
Yeah.
And so but then Mr. Tate is like, of course, he's kind of bitching about it. He's like, well, the football team is going to get all their new jerseys and new equipment, right?
And I was like, age-old athletics gets everything they want, but the arts are constantly underfunded.
Always. It's going to always be the case.
Yeah. I mean, they just spent so much money on the stadium at the school, too, and it's like,
and it's just like
Yet I get kicked out of my classroom when they need to put some desks in there a day early before a test.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see it. Especially, it's funny because that never changes, does it?
No.
And Miss Drake is then saying, well, that's what the parents care about in this town is just football. So they're going to get what they get. And you just have to kind of basically tough cookies, take it as it is. At that point, I'd be like, well, I'll just go to like a different school, move. I don't know. But it depends on how tied they are to that location.
I mean, and it's pretty apparent that the school's like kind of wholly underfunded.
Oh yeah.
Lots of stuff is, especially as we get like further into the film, stuff is just either
janky.
Broken. Yeah, it's just in a real sad state.
Yeah, it seems like a type of school that's like really like
fucking packed. There were so many students there. So it was like, what? Like, get some more money for this school. Come on. I don't know.
Oh no.
But so then, like the musical teacher is Carrie's mom.
That's Carrie's mom.
Piper, what's her face?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I was like, I know her for some reason,
That's
and then I was
right.
like,
Her face does make sense.
Piper Laurie. Yep.
Yeah.
It's Carrie's mom. And so she, because it was driving me nuts. I was like, why do I know her? She looks so familiar. But I think she was
the way she
obviously
was
a little
dressed
bit
so
older.
differently. Yeah, and she was older. Yeah.
And so
because that was in the 70s and this is the 90s. It's a whole like 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there and she like asks for the musical and stuff like that they want to do.
Yeah.
And later on, so the principal's like walking off and she's humming, according to my closed captioning anyways, she's humming like songs from that musical. And so it's like, oh, you can tell she actually is like frustrated that she can't fund the arts more. Like her hands are tied, as she said. Yeah. And I was like, that sucks.
That sucks because that happens for a lot of teachers everywhere. And especially like we said in the arts. And so the principal's just keeping it real and the meeting is basically adjourned.
Also, she's hot.
She
looks damn good.
I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything. And I don't know if I've seen her in a few other things.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Okay, that's what I'll have to look for. BB Newworth.
So good. Yeah.
BB Newworth. Yeah.
It's one of my.
What a cool name.
It's
BB.
probably Bebe.
Bebe Beatrice.
She's my like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Probably my favorite rom-com of all time.
I'll have to watch it.
I love it.
I will watch it and I will think of you fondly.
Thank you. Oh, she was also a voice in All Dogs Go to Heaven. Loved that movie.
I loved that movie too. All Dogs Go to Heaven. You know how I got that movie? It came on a cereal box.
Oh,
and it was like a DVD, and then that's how I watched
Pinocchio. Do you remember that one?
I did not watch that one. He freaked me out.
Yeah, that's fair. And the extremely
it was too real, but not real.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so we have her then at the school. She's trying to get her keys out of the office, out of her drawer, I believe, because she's leaving for the night. But then as she's in the office, the coach pops up and he's being super, super duper duper creepy.
Yeah.
And he's being
like right on her.
And she's like, have you been drinking? Because he's giving like drunk, creepy guy vibes. And then that's whenever he stabs her in the hand.
Yeah,
and I
really
he
keeps asking for a pencil. It was like he came up with a reason to be in there because she was like, are you drunk? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, I just need a pencil. I just need a pencil. I need a pencil.
And she's like, God damn it, here's your pencil.
Like, yeah, exactly. And then he's like looking at it and then he just stabs her through the fucking
right through
hand.
the hand,
and I was like,
which I really liked. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we have her trying to get away from him. Which she does, I guess, for a little bit.
Yeah, she evades him for quite a while. And oh God, when he comes running at her with his whistle blowing, I was like, I hate that. I hate it so much.
That's scary.
It is scary. And it kind of gives, you remember like in Get Out when the grandpa's charging towards him? It was kind of like that, but with a whistle.
Yeah. And
so scary.
Looks very menacing. And so obviously she can't get out of anything because everything's locked up because it's a school and that's how schools are at night. And so she ends up getting all the way back to like the front doors essentially. But then the theater teacher pops up and she's like, I forgot something, right?
Yeah, I think she said something about forgetting
I don't know. She forgot something, but it's the way then the principal's Drake is like, where are your keys? And she's like, I don't have
my keys.
Why would she go back for something if she didn't have her keys?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, maybe she was sitting there trying to she just thought that maybe the principal could let her in or something if she had already got to her car and left her stuff in there.
But we see that's
it's not the case.
But yeah, that already at that point, that just to me was just like, oh, that sounds fishy. Why don't you have your keys? I was like thinking you're in on it already.
Yeah. Oh, see, I thought I was still kind of trusting her at that moment. I was like, huh. And then I was like, oh.
So
look.
Yeah. Anyways, the what's his face coach? I don't even remember his name, but the coach.
Yeah, I think I just call him Coach.
Coach, right? Coach comes up. No, yeah. Well, it will come to it. I'm sure it'll be in the notes somewhere.
Yeah.
Coach pops up. And he's at the end of the hallway. And of course, the theater teacher, Miss Piper, is like, oh my God, he's right there. And then he ends up running all the way up to her. And just as she almost gets caught, and I feel like this always happens with keys and scary movies, or I feel like this would probably happen to me too. She can't, for the life of her, pick the right key.
No.
And of course, she drops him at one point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, drops him, has to pick him back up.
I think so.
It's very, very Rose in the Titanic.
Yeah.
And so she makes it just in time, only
Coach
to get out.
Joe Willis.
There you go. Coach Willis. Only to get out and then turn around and look at Miss what's her name? Miss Olsen, and Miss Olsen just starts stabbing her. Yeah, with scissors, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
right into her little chest, and I was like, damn.
And just like that,
I had such high hopes.
we have a cutaway, basically.
And a title card where the font kind of pours down from the top like blood.
Yeah,
I liked it.
the faculty.
That was cool.
And again, it gave me it's very 90s vibes. We're back again at the high school. And this morning
Guess
time.
it's like the next day.
The next day, yeah. And we have this menace driving crazy, Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
I was like, who drives like that?
I was like, this is the biggest dick bag ever.
Yeah, literally.
And should have his license taken away.
Revoked. And I was
like, oh no.
And who drives like that? Nobody drives like that. Or maybe they do. I've just never seen
He was just like fishtailing everywhere. And then the way he parked
on purpose.
Like
yeah.
perpendicular to the parking spaces, just right through like 4 of them. And I was like, I would literally like hammer your car or something.
Face.
What a fucking dick. Yeah. Whenever he got out, I was like, oh, it's that dude from 40 Days and 40 Nights. I watched that recently. He
always had like that greasy-ish hair.
He needs a fucking haircut. I think at one point I just call him Bangs.
And I think at one point in some other movie he does have like, he's got a buzz cut at one point.
Yeah, he's got really bad hair in 40 Days and 40 Nights too. I'm pretty sure. I recently watched that, and because I remember like watching it as a kid, and Andrew and I watched it, and he was like, you watched this as a kid?
Oh.
And I was like,
isn't it sexual?
It's like highly I mean, the whole premise is going without sex for 40 days and 40 nights.
But does he make it?
I think.
And why would he want to do that?
Because he was trying to get over his ex.
Oh.
Yeah. There's one point where it's got the girl from A Knight's Tale who plays the princess, like love interest of Heath Ledger.
I've never seen that movie then. I've never seen that.
So good. But anyways, they have like this, it's like a fucking lily. They've got like lilies and they're just basically touching each other with it. So they're not technically having sex. And she like orgasms from a flower, just brushing her skin.
Oh.
Super fun. Yeah.
Erotic.
Yeah. And whenever I was like, how did I watch? Was I like peeping over her shoulder when I saw this?
We've all seen movies, I feel like, though, that we probably shouldn't have seen.
I also
when
probably
we were kids.
didn't understand what that scene was at the time.
There's movies that I've seen now that I'm like, oh, I watched that when I was younger, and then I watch it now, I'm like, oh, I didn't even catch that, or how sexual a lot of movies are.
What's those Vin Diesel ones? Triple X?
Triple X?
Yeah, I watched all those. I feel like I should not have watched those as like an 8-year-old, but anyways. But
we got Joshua Hartnett. We got then another student, Casey, who is played by Elijah Wood. And for some of these students, we're getting like a flashcard for with our name, which I wasn't too like. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that.
I mean, I guess to really solidify the
Who
characters.
they were, yeah.
But then they didn't do it for all of them.
Yeah, they didn't do it for Delilah, and they didn't do it for.
Oh, they did do it for Delilah.
They did. For one of them, I thought they didn't do it.
I don't think they did it for Zeke.
Oh, okay. Was it? Yeah, they didn't do it for Zeke.
Oh, right. Wait, no, they do it at the end, I think. Or no, maybe they don't, and his name just comes up. I definitely know that Casey, Stokely, Delilah, and Mary Beth. Stan doesn't get one.
Yeah,
that's why I was confused.
Yeah,
I know for
Stan
sure he doesn't get one.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've already seen him.
Maybe because he's a boyfriend? I don't know. Maybe because he was being mean to Casey. But anyways, we get like these little flashes of their names. So we get to know who the characters are pretty fast. And then we get Stokely running into what's-his-face? Stan. But then she's like, why don't you watch where you're going or something like that? But she's the one that bumped into him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she said walk much or something like that.
Yeah. They tend to bump into each other a lot because they have another moment at a water fountain later.
Maybe that's all like foreshadowing, I guess, to BH. And then we have Delilah and Stan talking, and that's when we find out that they're boyfriend and girlfriend.
She said it took her 72 minutes to put her lipstick on.
I don't get that.
Like, I don't even know how much time that is. How much time is that?
That's like an hour and 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, it's too much time for your lipstick.
Yeah.
That's more time than it takes me to put my whole face of makeup on.
I don't know.
I feel like she said it was like Estee Lauder.
But I feel like she's also the girl who would be in front of the mirror and like brush her hair 999 times.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Because we found that out because she said she couldn't stand a kiss.
Yeah.
And she was like, it took me 72 minutes.
Yeah, which also we get a lot of like talking between them. She's obviously like not a nice person because she's also like kind of talking to him in a belittling type of way.
Yeah, a very belittling way.
I would say.
Especially later on, I was like,
I guess.
Fuck. I was like, damn, tell me how you really feel.
She's rude to everybody.
Yeah.
So she's already not a nice girl. And then I have here my notes not really liking the name cards. But Mary, we have
they were my favorite.
Mary Beth popping up.
And Casey getting his nuts like just repeatedly slammed into a flagpole.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know people did that either.
Yeah, I was like, that has to be the most painful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I mean, all of his little eggs or whatever has got to be little swimmers. Probably dead
on arrival. And so
DOA. My mom was in that movie. She was an extra.
Dead on Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what movie that is.
Oh, you know that movie, Mike? DOA, Dead on Arrival.
No,
it's got what's his face.
I'll have to watch it just for your mom.
Yeah, she's like in a red striped sweater at one point.
I'm gonna be like, every time I see something red, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, that might be Caitlin's mom.
Is that Caitlin's mom?
And so shout out. And we have Mary Beth. We have the school is fucking rough because, like I said, and like Caitlin said, they are bashing in Casey's nuts into the flagpole. And then right after that, we have him.
Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan. Those are some pretty hefty names right there.
Yeah.
We have fake IDs trying to be sold in the restroom to the 70s Shows kid from Zeke. And that's whenever he ends up selling them his own made up hash, or what's he call it?
I think he calls it scat.
Scat. There we go. Scat.
And it's in like these empty pens.
Yeah.
And it's a white powder.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is scat? It looks like cocaine, but it's not
does.
cocaine apparently. And apparently later we figure out it's like
it's mainly caffeine.
Caffeine pills, I guess,
which can still do a lot.
Yeah.
As I learned from
Saved by the Bell?
No, from my championships last.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because that kid took the caffeine pills.
Mm-hmm. Took so many.
That's crazy.
Because he didn't
it's
understand how
Saved by the Bell. Did you ever watch that episode of Saved by the Bell?
No.
With Jessie? And she takes the caffeine pills? And it was a whole thing.
Oh,
it was like a whole PSA on don't do drugs.
Love it. Well, here's your PSA. Yeah, caffeine is a stimulant, so please, you can overdose on it. If you are a young kid and you don't understand how caffeine works, because that was the most terrifying moment of my life, having to deal with my students going on to perform and then simultaneously a student like literally dying. It
terrifying.
Was, and I'm the only director there.
I'd be like, that's on my hands. Oh shit.
Yeah. And so thank God I had a parent who was there like helping, but it was
would have left.
And I think he just legitimately didn't understand how caffeine pills worked and took enough to almost stop his heart. So please don't do drugs, even if they're over the counter. No medicine. I'm just kidding. I take so much medicine.
No drugs.
Break.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
So after the stint with the drugs in the bathroom stall, we also, did see that Casey was in the bathroom stall bleeding out as well. Poor guy.
He was going through tissue paper.
The rough times of being a high school student.
Tissue. Sorry.
Bullying is tough, man.
It is.
It's tough out there for the bullies.
Poor Casey.
I'm just kidding, for the victims.
Justice for Casey.
So for everybody, Salma Hayek is in this movie. Because I was like, oh, I forgot about that. And because I'd seen this a long time ago, but it was a really, wow.
I had never seen this film.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I had, but then once I watched it, I was
like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Never seen this.
Salma Hayek, though.
Yeah.
And she looked, I was like, oh, man. And not that
she looks the exact same.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say.
Incredible.
She looks
I'm like, she hasn't aged a fucking day. She is an alien.
She's beautiful. She could be. She honestly, every time I see an interview of her too, she's so kooky. She's a very kooky person. Kook, yeah. And so then we also have I put like, what the hell is up with this old bitch? I think I'm talking about Miss Collins, maybe? Oh no, the lady next to her that's coughing. It's the teacher that ends up dying because she's too old. Miss Brummel, yeah.
Well, the nurse, Salma Hayek, was the one coughing. The nurse was the one sitting there like hacking up along. And I was like, she's like, I'm saving my sick days for when I feel good. And I was like, okay, mood. But also, girl, you of all people should understand how the spread of disease works.
She's the nurse. But
she's like not even covering her mouth. She's just hacking on this redhead man.
And so then we have the coach drinking a lot of water at the cooler, which comes into play. Yeah.
I'm like, boy, get yourself a bigger cup.
He's very thirsty.
He was. I was like, I wonder how thirsty I would be considering I drink like a gallon and a half of water every day.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm already that thirsty. I'm like, oh my God, I'd probably have to drink like 14 gallons of water a day.
22 gallons.
22, 18.
You might just have to be totally submerged in a pool all day or else you wouldn't make it.
Be a little fishy.
It'd be a beta.
You know, yeah, that's what these kind of look like, hiking.
They do, yeah.
But so, and then you also see what's his face, the English teacher or whatever,
Mr.
drinking. Yeah, Mr. Tate drinking on the job.
He's got a flask. Yeah.
And you see a bunch of just hazardous work environments, like the AC units are out. They're using a really busted fan, and everything just looks like way too old.
The budget
needs
not
a little
there.
facelift.
It does,
and
they
probably someone to say this is a safe environment to work in.
So this is probably the best school for what's about to happen.
Yeah. It's like what's his face says later, like, are you gonna blow up the White House like Independence Day, or are you gonna like come in the back door? And I was like,
it makes a lot of sense. They're already here.
Also, shout out to Independence Day.
What if you just looked at me and my eyes closed this way?
I would be like, yeah, here. I love Independence Day. That's such a shit on film. I fucking love it.
I like it. No,
it was my favorite. Not my favorite movie, but like we watched it a weird amount as a kid.
It's an American classic.
I think it was like one of the few like films that my dad actually like owned at his house.
Yeah.
And so then it was like that, Pearl Harbor.
Independence Day is a culmination of what Americans love most. War and America. That's a gun, like you against us, and
we've got some people coming together to blow up a common enemy.
Common enemy, yeah.
Yeah,
and we have a love story in it.
Yes,
that's what everybody wants.
We love them coming back together.
There's literally something for mom, dad, little boy Joe, and little Susie, and the dog too.
And the dog, yeah,
literally.
They liked the music that played.
Guys, stop watching this film right now and go watch
Independence Day.
Literally.
Hey, that's an alien. Can we cover that next Independence Day? Literally, that doesn't matter for the rest of the world.
It's literally not a horror movie, but
it's got aliens.
It's got aliens.
That
is
into
a horror
the
story for something.
Realm.
Our world being taken over would be pretty scary.
Terrifying. War of the Worlds.
There you go.
Terrifying.
I loved War of the Worlds.
I did too. Young Dakota Fanning.
She was annoying throughout that whole movie though. She kept screaming the entire time. Sorry. But yeah, back to the faculty. We have Mr. Tate was drinking on the job. And they're all kind of really hateful. They're all like giving like very begrudging like teachers who
they're
just
being so mean to each other.
Yeah, and they don't like care for their jobs, it seems like, very much so. But then Miss Olsen comes in and she's looking fresh.
Yeah, I know. She looked like she had a whole ass makeover.
She's complete 180 than she looked the day before. And she just literally looks amazing.
And she walks in and the coach glowing. This whole time had only been drinking the water, not acknowledging a single other person in that room. And then the moment she walks in, he turns around and then she walks past everyone and goes right to him. They don't like acknowledge a single other presence in that room.
Yeah.
Only one another.
So it's very telling. And so then after that, we have Famke, the teacher. The Jean Grey bitch. She's in the teacher. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call her a bitch. She's not a bitch. She's Jean Grey, and she should be revered.
I mean, Anastasia and I, like, we literally only refer to one another as bitch. We're like, bitch. Yes, bitch. Like, that's how we call each other.
It's a term of endearment.
It is. I call all my best ladies bitches.
And so she's a teacher in there, and they're talking about some the book, the Crucible, something, one of those, the Chronicles of Narnia. I don't know, but they're talking about books, and this is when we get. And also, I wrote like, why did Zeke never get his name card? But okay, Zeke basically shows.
So Zeke didn't get one either.
His
intellect. It was Zeke and Stan.
Yeah, Zeke gets to show his intellect a little bit because we see that he's pretty smart actually, because he's answering the questions that she's giving her answers basically while nobody else in the classroom is speaking up. But then after that,
I literally didn't recognize her at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Really, either until she gets like taken over by the alien and goes like super hot mode. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's you.
Yeah.
The whole time I was like, and then also she was just acting so sketchy. I was like, girl, why are you being so timid? Like the way you're acting is like weird.
That was just her character though, I guess.
Yeah, maybe she had a bunch of anxiety, but then I'm like, maybe teaching isn't the job
for you. And it also gave even before that.
Kids are mean. Thankfully, none of mine. They're all like perfect angels.
Yeah.
But I see how they can be mean to one another. And then I've seen how some of these, like how some students can be so mean to teachers.
Dude, I remember high school.
None of them are mean to me.
I remember high school. Kids are mean to teachers all the time.
They are.
Yeah.
Terrible. So, I mean, I would be scared to work there. I think
one of our teachers actually got like bullied into like not working at our school anymore at one point.
That's so sad.
Which is really sad. And so, shout out. And so...
We also have a conversation between Stan and Delilah.
That's right. Yes.
Too.
And she's like she's not giving him the time of day of what he wants to talk about because he's trying to tell her how he feels in his heart. And she's
in his heart of hearts.
Not having it. And she's also then basically he wants to quit football because he wants to be known for more than just like playing ball. And he wants
to be known for his academics.
Yeah. And even if not his academics, he just wants to earn the grade that he gets because apparently we learn that later. That's right. But there's a reason to that. But anyways, he just doesn't want to be like a meathead. He wants to actually like make his way and earn his way into the school without a scholarship.
Yeah. And then she's just basically calling him a dumbass. And she's like, no, you should not quit football. And like you'll literally never get anywhere if you try this.
And she's also saying that like if you're not the football player, coach or captain, whatever, then like the hierarchy goes like, I won't date you anymore. Basically,
head cheerleader dates head quarter or like the star quarterback. Head quarterback. I don't think that's the thing.
Whatever. Dumb bitch.
Yeah.
I hate Delilah.
Yeah, she was.
I did not like her.
Also, Mary Beth gave me sus vibes the whole time. I did not like the way that she kept introducing herself with her full name. She was like, Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson. I'm from Alabama or whatever the fuck. One of the A's. And I was just like, and also she gave more lesbian than Stokely did.
She did, didn't she?
I was like, this bitch lesbi gay.
That's
and
what
I was
I thought too
would
at the
ship
beginning.
Stokely and Mary Beth, honestly.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit upset when Stokely wasn't lesbian. I was like, she looked cute though.
Which was also confusing. Which also I think they were also trying to do like, in hindsight, if you look at it, maybe that gives us like makes us to think that, or suspect that person is an alien because they're acting differently to how they would normally act. Like even with Stan, I put, he an alien because he doesn't want to be a football player anymore. He wants to be smart now. And I'm like,
I think kind of there was a few point in times where I was like, I feel like Mary Beth is in on this. And then once they mentioned that, like later on when they're like, you showed up conveniently as all this started happening. I was like, I agree.
Perfect. Yeah, that's her.
And then whenever it was Delilah, I was like, fuck, it was her?
Yeah.
I was wrong. And then later on, I was like, I fucking knew it. I was like, it is this bitch.
But it was a good fake out.
It was weird how she introduced her whole name every time.
She was too non-human.
You introduce all three parts of your names standard at least. You could have many more.
You're an alien.
But yeah, alien.
Yeah. And so yeah, she's very, we have her meeting because I put lesbian vibes. She's meeting Stokely, yeah, all throughout that time. She's from Atlanta.
I was like, she's about to get Atlanta.
Yeah.
I was like, an A.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's about to get punched.
And then the mean girl comes up, Miss Delilah, and she ends up like being a mean to Stokely the whole time and being like, oh, did you find yourself like a girlfriend basically and all this stuff, but in a more mean way. And I love how whenever Stokely goes away, she calls her like a bipolar bitch.
Yeah, she does. And I was like,
good one, but not.
But really,
yeah. And so then Casey.
Oh yeah, because she called Stokely. Delilah called Stokely a violent lesbian.
That's right.
And so she called her a bipolar bitch. Yeah.
They were taking it out at each other. They were going for
throwing punches
and with words. which is more hurtful.
Sticks and stones.
Yeah. And then we have Casey at the football field being Casey.
Yeah, he's just trying to get away from all those fucking bullies because everyone is after him in that school.
Yeah. He's in the stands eating his lunch by himself.
With this
as
little juice
one
box.
with no friends would. And he ends up getting onto the turf and he's just kind of looking around, and that's whenever the coach comes up. And that's whenever he's like looking at him all menacingly. And I thought at this point, oh my God, he's going to kill him.
I thought he was too. I was like, oh my God, please don't kill Casey. But right before like the coach catches him, he picks something up off the ground where the coach was looking just the day before. And so he picks it up. And I was honestly surprised he didn't get infected then.
Damn.
But I don't know.
Well, the sprinklers weren't on at that point, and the sun was out,
so it was dead.
It was like dried out.
Yeah, that's
essentially.
right.
It wasn't active.
Resuscitated. Yeah. That's right. Duh.
And so we have the coach being a creeper again, and Casey is like, he's like, well, what are you doing out here? And Casey was like, I'm eating lunch. And he's like, well, why don't you go into the cafeteria like everyone else or whatever? And then he asked him, why don't you want to play football or something like that?
Yeah, he's like, I've seen your like times, because I'm assuming they have like standard, like you got to go run the fucking mile in gym. And so he's like, I've seen your like numbers. You're pretty fast. And he basically is like, why don't you, you could be a like running back kind of thing. And he said, I don't think a person should run unless he's being chased. And he goes, and then the coach is like, being chased. I like that. And I was like, oh God, he's gonna kill him.
Creepy.
And then he's like, get. And he's like, ah.
Yeah.
Frodo runs away.
And so then at this point we have Miss Brummel. Yeah, Miss Olsen goes into Miss Brummel's room, and she is gonna transform her. Essentially, that's all we get, because it goes pretty fast. And then we get Casey showing the rest of the class, which is John Stewart's classroom. I forget his name, the teacher.
Mr. Fulgrim or something.
Yeah,
which like I think is like isn't that like a physics term? Fulgrim. I don't know, maybe.
I'm not sure, but it could be.
I also don't know anything.
Furlough or something.
Furlough.
Hold on. No, I'm going to look it up because it's going to bug me.
I think it is. No, but
Edward.
Furlough. I can't read it. It just says
it
Edward
goes away.
Furl.
I know what you mean.
And then when you click on it, you can't see. It's like, LOL.
Well, the world may never know.
Yeah, because I write it a bunch of different ways in my notes because I'm like, I can't remember how to spell it.
I just called him John Stewart in my notes.
LOL.
Because I know he hosts that show.
Yeah.
And so we have him going into the classroom. He found something.
He's showing the teacher. They basically start looking at it underneath the microscope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's basically saying that this is like kind of akin to a squid or an octopi.
It's a pelagic organism.
Yeah, pelagic.
Which means that it's aquatic, essentially.
Yeah, sea dwelling. And I was like, it's the octopus. NASA just confirmed this, or whoever did.
Yeah, and we have Usher coming into the mix as well. Usher. And we also get to see more of Zeke being smart, because he is going back and forth with the teacher of like, what it could be. And so then that's when they spill the water on it, and they end up putting it in the tank, and they see that it actually comes to life.
Yeah, because it started moving when the water.
Very freaky, and it duplicates itself. And then it bites the teacher. Its jaws. I mean, at this point it gave very bad, like fake whatever from back in the day, but
it looked like a Demogorgon.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah. Demogorgon beta fish.
If you've seen Dune or like a sandworm, it's like with all of its teeth everywhere.
Yeah. I like the way it like pulled its face open.
Oh,
that was cool. And I liked its little frills.
Yeah.
What are those?
It was like
tentacles.
An axolotl.
Almost. baby frills. But yeah, whenever the fucking teacher decides to put his hand in there, I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah. Why would you do that? I don't understand why he would do that in the first place.
Yeah. It was so weird. I was like, don't. He's like, it's changed textures or whatever. And it's like, that don't fucking matter. This thing just split into two.
Yeah. I wouldn't. And it could be poisonous, venomous, or something. Like, you don't even know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had that little glove on, but still, what would that do? It was made out of plastic.
Yeah, it was a
rubber glove.
latex glove.
Yeah, latex.
Yeah.
There you go. And so anyways, we have that happening, and then we get out of that whole situation, and then we have the coach being cool with Stan
Quitting football.
Quitting football, which is really odd for the coach at this point because he's being calm and cool while we already knew like before he would blow up about things, and Stan didn't want to tell him about it.
He literally said, "What kind of human being would I be if I did that?" And it was like,
LOL.
Ew, no, that's creepy. It's like you're trying to be a copy of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
And so we have the people in the dudes in the locker room.
Yeah, Usher's being mean to Casey. And then Stan goes to go shower. I was like, damn, those some bunions.
Yeah.
Because poor
on
Miss,
his
I was
feet?
like, well,
on
on
her.
Miss Brummel's
Gotcha.
feet.
Yeah.
Because it like, we get Stan like turning on the shower or whatever, hanging up his bar soap. And then you just like, it flashes to the doorway and you just see these feet come onto the floor. And it's like,
Yeah.
fucking bunions
Mrs.
and
Brummel,
spider veins
naked,
everywhere.
Looking
Yeah.
all like she's
I thought she was going to be
basically.
fully naked. Thankfully, she wasn't yet. She still was closed, but yeah. Oh God, she has these lesions all over her face.
I think she essentially wanted to go into the showers to get water, but it still wasn't even like working for her because her body was rejecting, I guess, the parasite.
And
the
she was like yelling like, "Help me! I can't breathe!" And God, whenever she like leans on him and her hair came off,
starts falling off.
I
it
almost
slides off.
puked.
It's disgusting.
the way it like
It's so-
flopped onto the floor.
It looks so real too.
Yeah, it did.
It looks so real.
I was like, I mean,
don't know how they did
literally,
that.
my stomach was like, oh fuck, like I almost puked. I'm like, that's so.
And we have her basically falling apart on Stan, which is really gross.
Poor Stan.
Yeah.
How he just walks away from that, I never will understand.
And in the next scene, we have Miss Olsen trying to console Casey and him and be like, she's just sick. She just got cancer. Her hair is falling out. And
She's on a lot of medication, causes disorientation, stuff
trying
like
to
that.
brush it under the rug while we have Coach out in the field just getting
Soaked by the
There we
sprinklers,
go, by
but
the
also
sprinklers.
staring directly into the office like a fucking weirdo.
And I'm pretty
Casey's
sure like they're making eye contact.
yeah, because he like tried to look through the eye of the camera and was like, oh God. And then at the whole time, Miss Olsen is being like, Casey, you understand?
Casey, do you understand?
Casey.
She said it like at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh. And then so at this point I was like, yeah, they suspect Casey.
Oh my gosh, it's funny because on my next note, I'm like, this teacher sucks. LOL. Jean Grey would not be this timid.
Oh, true.
It's
My next note was Nev Campbell and Jennifer Love Hewitt full frontal.
That's right. Yeah. And which is also a joke because Kevin Williamson also wrote those movies. Like he's like making fun, poking fun at that.
Scream 1 and Scream 2.
Yeah.
And they were both obviously Nev Campbell, but Jennifer Love Hewitt was in Scream 2.
I know
what you did last summer.
Yeah.
IKWY.
It's already slipped my mind.
know.
It's too many letters.
DS.
Yes.
DLS. Last summer. Did last. I don't know.
We have her trying to get onto Zeke, the teacher, because he's selling that the movies, fake movie or real movies, right? I guess essentially, in the parking lot, and
Selling all sorts of things. He's
Yeah,
like, I
that's
got
true.
these cherry flavored condoms and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Also,
that's
the whole
right.
time I just felt like Miss Burke like wanted to bone Zeke.
Yeah, I feel like I was like, they're probably gonna fuck.
Yeah, I thought they were. I was like, girl, even with her timid self, she was acting like.
Well, they
she was
also made a
like-
point to make us know that like he's been held back. So I was like, oh, maybe he's like over 18 and he's just like a third year senior. I don't know.
Yeah, literally still illegal. He's a student.
My bad. Forgot about that. Hey, you know about all those rules. I don't know about those rules.
True. Because I'm a teacher, not because I've tried anything else. I was like, wait, that makes me sound really bad.
Clarification. And so anyways, yeah, he ends up offending her, unfortunately, because she goes away all kind of sad, and it looks like she was about to break down, to be honest.
Yeah. She constantly looked like she was on the verge of breakdown.
And then we have Delilah being a dick.
Yeah, they're basically like
Again.
running an expose on all these teachers. She's like, I already got that. What's his face, Mr. Tate
Is a drunk last year.
Yeah, and then his wife leaving him or something because of it and stuff. And then yeah, they're basically just she's being awful. And Casey's says,
calling her out.
Yeah, he's like, you're a pretty cool human being. Like when you're not busy being a grade A bitch. He was like, you kind of fucking suck. She was like, you
A
think I'm
first
a good
class
human?
grade A bitch.
Yeah, and he was like, Yeah, when you're not being exactly like how you are now.
Yeah.
Right now is pretty shitty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's someone, she's not used to people calling her out because she's that girl and very popular. So he's actually, you know, telling
Calls
her
her
how
on
it
her
is.
shit.
And then at that point, they're in the faculty room or lounge, and then they have to hide in the closet because the coach and Miss Olsen walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whenever they're kind of talking to each other, and she asked him, has the entire faculty been commuted?
Yeah.
And he's like, not yet, but almost there.
And of course, they're by the water cooler. He's drinking it. The way she just goes
Literally.
under her face.
She just splashes it
and
on
her hair
herself.
goes.
I love it.
It was so funny.
The commitment.
I was like, oh, okay.
And then we have the nurse walking in, Miss Salma Hayek. She walks in and she's talking to them. And that's whenever they end up taking over her by force, like putting her on the couch. He ends up like his face
puking. His face was silly.
transforms a little bit, yeah. And then he ends up puking a little alien into her
worm.
ear, and when the little blood splats, and then we have Delilah and Casey watching this as it's all going down, and they hear them make a noise because they move or something out of fear, and then Mrs. Brummel's body ends up falling out all over on the
Falls
floor.
onto Delilah.
Delilah, right?
Do you think that's when she got infected?
Maybe.
You think the thing tried to jump host, even though she was dead?
It
like
could
saw an
have.
opportunity? Because I'm trying to figure out when she did get infected.
It's either the only explanation is that that's what happened, or remember later on, Miss Drake tells Casey, we called Delilah already, or
and
some spoke
home.
with her. Yeah. So maybe they had went over there and spoken with her already.
Yeah. Because then I was like, maybe if it happened here, that's why she didn't show up for
but that's
anything
true.
Too.
Yeah.
It could have. I
been
don't
at
know
that
if
point
that's
too.
when it happened.
I like that idea though.
It's fun in my brain.
Explains it, and it also is better than like them going to their place. It was like it's in the story. Maybe
Happened
it's
there,
just something
sneaky.
that they wanted us to get with it not actually being explained, if that makes sense. Like on the nose.
Also, the little creatures give, at the end of Spaceballs.
I've never seen Spaceballs.
It's a classic.
Sorry, I'll have to watch it.
Well, there's this little bit when this guy at the diner sings the "Hello, my baby."
Hello, my library.
Hello, my darling. Yeah, that part. It gives those little guys. He busts out of someone's chest, alien style, and sings a little song, ditty off.
I'll have to watch it and look it up. And then they come out and they fend off the teachers. They end up getting into the hallway, and there's Miss Drake with Mr. Tate, but she is gaslighting them essentially because at this point I was like, OMG, Miss Drake, because I was really excited to see her, but I already knew she's an alien.
Yeah.
And so she was like,
because I thought she was dead since she got stabbed beforehand. So I just thought she was dead and they disposed of her body. And so when she came back, I was like, oh.
But it makes sense though, because they did stab her a lot, and they heal, I believe. They heal, because we do see later with the coach. So she just probably took a little bit longer to heal up, maybe.
Yeah.
Or they just only needed her for when they needed her. Because they work on a hive mind.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because at this point, Delilah basically leaves.
She
Casey,
fucking leaves Frodo.
For real.
Casey, sorry.
Yeah, Elijah Wood. She leaves him.
He slips and falls, and she's like, bye, bitch. And he's like, Delilah, wait.
She does not. At that point, that's whenever time elapses, and he has gotten the attention of the cops and his parents, and they end up back at the school, and they look into the closet, and there is no body in there. It's actually a resuscitation doll, and all the teachers are conspiring against him to make it seem like he's just a kid who didn't know what he saw, and or is trying to play a prank or something. And so then we have Mrs. Drake taking one of the cops.
A nice alibi. Sorry.
Yeah,
their alibi was pretty airtight. And I was like, damn, these motherfuckers.
And we have Mrs. Drake taking the cop into the office, and obviously he gets taken over by the alien. So now not only do we have the faculty, we have the cops. Yeah.
The aliens.
The police force.
No, yeah. And whenever he comes back out, he's just saying basically, nothing to see here. Just some kid looking for attention. And we're going to go.
Yeah.
But, and then Mrs. Drake tries to take his mom in, and he's like, no.
We'll talk about it at home.
Yeah. He's like, I'll see you shrink. I'll see whoever you want.
Because they're suggesting to go see a professional. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're calling him crazy. And it's like, damn, y'all can't take your son's side at all.
which we
I
end
don't
up
know.
going home and they go through all of his shit. She's like, go through the spine of the books because that's where they had the drugs.
I saw it on Dateline.
And they confiscate his porno, and they are like basically no internet, no internet, no gadgets, right?
Yeah. They're basically saying you can't have
Yeah.
anything. And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna sneak out.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes and he crawls out
Immediately.
his little window, and then he sees the three
teachers. Yeah.
he sees at least it's Miss Olsen, the coach, and who's
Mr.
the
Tate.
Yeah, there's a third.
There's a third, probably Miss Drake
Yeah.
at this point.
And they were all standing outside of his house, and he like obviously falls out his window then, and then hurts
Rookie
himself.
mistake. Yeah, makes a loud noise, and then his dad comes out and like brings him in, and he's trying to be like, they're right here, and nobody's there, obviously.
He says, Dad, they're here.
Mm-hmm.
The faculty. Roll credits.
That
I'm
could
just
have been it. That's it. That's the
Part
perfect
2.
horror movie. And so, yeah, we have.
I feel like they got his parents there too, like maybe
They
beforehand,
could have.
and they already got
Maybe
him.
in the middle of the night. They
Yeah,
could have
like-
been. Oh, I'm sure they had other things happening as well, not just in the school. Maybe we're just getting like what's happening with these students and their storylines.
Mm-hmm.
And like there could also be a spin-off series where we're getting like what's happening at like the grocery store and what's happening at the hospital, or like it's already happening other places as well in the same city.
Yeah, because they take. I mean, they do take over that high school in like a day.
Yeah. We have Casey with his family. And then after that, I have Mr. Tate is definitely an alien. I don't know why I have that here.
Yeah, I don't know. I put at this point, I was just like,
At this point, we see Delilah.
I said poor Casey isn't going to be safe anywhere, and then I said Delilah looks cute with her glasses.
I was gonna say Delilah is dressed a lot differently than she usually dresses.
But she's in disguise.
She's supposed to be quote unquote in disguise. They're calling all of the students by names into the nurse's office because they're gonna give them a hearing test administered by the nurse. So
Yeah.
obviously they're gonna start infecting all the kids.
Which was so silly.
Yeah.
I was like, what? That's funny. Oh, I think it's probably at one point because Dr. Tate or Professor Tate, fucking it's a teacher, Mr. Tate.
I was like, who?
He says, I need you, we're going to make a family tree today. And he basically says, I
That's
need
right.
your name and I need your living
why.
members of your
That
family.
is why I put Mr. Tate as deaf and alien.
Yeah.
Because he was asking them for all this long list of all the relatives. And he was like the closer and immediate family and all that stuff.
Yeah, let me know your immediate family and stuff, like who lives with you and all that. And also, like, while all this is happening, you're kind of getting to see another Stokely Stan moment.
Yep.
And this was where I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can ship it. And then I was like, but like Mary Beth is total. This is where I put Mary Beth is total lesbian gay, and I ship her and Stokely. But okay, fine.
But also Mary Beth is egging Stokely to talk to Stan as well.
And then this is where
because
Stan says like,
I deserve that D.
yeah, he said I worked hard for that D. It was my D, and I was like, same. Stan.
Because a teacher passed him even though he didn't deserve it. But just because he was a really good football player and then, he needed to be on the team to play.
I said, damn, must be so hard to get all those free passes. Poor baby.
And then him and Stokely are actually getting along really well. They're flirting vibes, flirty flirt. And Mr. Tate is asking, that's where it is. Mr. Tate is asking them to write about all this shit. And then that's whenever we have Miss Mary Beth telling Zeke that she's allergic to aspirin.
Yeah, because she's being nosy as hell too. She's like going up to everyone.
Basically getting that's right. She is to everybody, kind of warming up to everybody.
Trying to see
at a
their
certain point.
like kind of what they're doing and kind of get into their lives basically. And I mean, I guess she did technically want friends, as she says at the end, but it's like, but yeah, and then this is where she says, I'm allergic to aspirin, so that would probably kill me whenever he offers her the scat.
That's right. And because that's how he's explaining how he was getting stuff from the school, right?
Oh yeah, and this is where I have that. Yeah, they were doing the ear exams and stuff, and it's like, and this is where another pussy puke line comes in, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Because they're wanting to buy more drugs from him. They're wanting to buy the scat off him because they essentially want to get rid of it because now they're aliens.
Yeah.
And so, but he's like keeping some to himself, obviously, because he doesn't want to give them all of his stash. And also, they're being really weird about it.
Well, and also, I mean, I'm sure if they overdosed,
It's true.
at that point, it would be traced right back to him. They'd find a way to be like, everyone knows that Zeke sells the scat.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
That's
and
true.
so, I mean, I
They
feel
like
like
the
at
drugs.
that point, he's like, because he does, I mean, he says the line, like, all in moderate, like,
In moderation.
y'all got to slow down.
Yeah.
You're taking way too much.
And then after this, we have Miss Sexy Teacher coming up because she's now an alien, and she starts reading Mr. Zeke to filth. She starts
I wrote
going
down
at
most
him.
of it because I was
Yeah.
like, fuck.
She's really digging in on him. Yeah.
She was like, eat me, you asshole.
Mhm.
I'm the one with no tolerance, you pathetic little runt. And he says, what are you going to do? Call my mother? And she says, how am I supposed to do that, little Zeke boy? She says,
Yeah.
do you even know where she is? And basically she lists some places and she's like,
Being very mean.
she's gone there to hide from her great big bastard mistake. Dickless, drug-induced excuse for a human being. And it was like,
Drops mic.
damn.
Burn. Yeah. And all these kids are just watching around
And
him.
then she says, if you do like one more thing, she says, I'm going to shove my foot so far up your ass, you'll be sucking my toes till graduation. And I was like, what?
She came for him. She really
She
didn't have
did.
to, but she did. Well, and honestly is bent up, like
Pent up.
anger. Because they all, like, even when they wanted to stab Mrs. Drake, they were like, I always wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have Casey talking to
Oh, that
Stokely.
makes sense. I don't know
Yeah.
why my brain was like, that's like, just, they always wanted to stab someone. And it really,
Oh.
yeah, it is always, okay, it was from,
Like their pent up aggression.
yeah,
Yeah.
I see it now.
Uh-huh.
I love it. Okay.
And so we have the invasion of the body snatchers getting mentioned by Stokely to Casey because Casey's talking to her about like something's weird going on in the schools. And it's giving very X-Files. And that's whenever they reference a lot of other movies like Men in Black and E.T. and they mention that it could be parasites that are taking over the people in their school, the faculty essentially, and now the students. And that's whenever they also start to talk to Stan and they start bringing in
I don't understand how like other people like weren't getting on, and how even Stokely
Delilah.
at the point was like, I was just joking, and
Yeah.
then Casey was like, no, this could
This is
be
for
legit
real.
it. And
Yeah.
I mean, and then whenever they go talk to Stan and stuff, I'm like, how are none of y'all like actually believing this? Because some weird ass shit is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know.
But
It
I
was
mean,
just,
it's, you know, people are skeptical and like also it's pretty far fetched.
yeah.
I mean,
it is, but like if this,
even though
like,
it's not.
if the whole student population was acting really fucking weird and I already saw like a dead body and shit, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, Stan got like Mrs. Brommel on him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know. But I don't know. Also, I 1000% believe the Men in Black exist.
They do.
Yeah.
And they're watching over
Mhm.
us, protecting us. Thank you, MIB. And
That's
so
right.
we have them talking about all this stuff while Zeke and Mary Beth are in another room that they can also hear them talking about it because I guess the rooms connect. And so then
Yeah,
we
the
have
air vents.
Zeke and Mary Beth going back into that room after we saw that he was saying that he takes all of his stuff from the school, like to make his drugs, essentially the ingredients.
The regular Walter White.
They go into the classroom, and that's whenever they're talking about this even more. And nobody believes Casey until Mr. John Stewart's teacher, whatever, comes into the room, and he's like trying to be like, "What are y'all doing in here?" And they're about to walk out, but then he like throws Zeke across the table.
Yeah, Mr. Yeah, so yeah, Mr. Furlong.
Mr. Furlong, yeah,
Furlong, I believe, is his name.
yeah.
Also, the insult tit bags was thrown, and I liked that too. And this is where we get the White House Independence Day style comment as well. And yeah, he comes in and basically Casey's like, or Zeke says to him, he says, Casey thinks you're an alien, mister. And Mr. Furlong, basically you see that realization pop up his face, and it's basically like, oh shit, you spot on.
Yeah.
And so he goes and he closes the window, and I'm like, at that point, I would have been on red alert. I would be like, nope. And then also, I feel like I would have connected it to that weird new species I found a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being like, oh, this bitch got bit
Yeah.
by it. But I don't know. It takes them, I feel like, a little bit.
Yeah.
But then he starts, I mean, he's taking them all on.
Because the whole reason they even went into the classroom was to look for that little critter, but they couldn't find it. And then that's whenever the teacher's like, well, we sent it off, but obviously they didn't.
No.
And so they end up getting attacked by the teacher, and they end up killing the teacher by accident. Well, not accidentally, but stabbing him in the eye with the scat. But what they didn't realize is that the scat like basically dehydrates their body. And so they're like, it's like salt on slugs,
Yeah.
which if you've ever done that and seen it, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's, I mean, like, that's it is, they foam too.
They
There's like
foam, yep.
there's like this like you made a little
Sudsy
volcano.
suds, yeah. Oh yeah.
With Coke and Mentos. And okay, but using the paper cutter to chop off all his fingers was cool.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But then not the little fucking fingers.
Going around the room.
Sliding. They looked like little remote controlled mice or some shit. And I was like,
but
what?
imagine that coming towards you.
Oh yeah, I would be freaking out.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was like fucking cheesy ass blood coming out of his fingers, but it was just his little funny tentacle things.
It's basically like little face huggers going around the room.
Yeah. And then whenever he got thrown into the water, and like the tank shattered, I thought he was going to be like super strong. But
I thought so too.
Yeah, thankfully he had already been stabbed at that point, and so then the fizzy shit.
But they're also just like little minions essentially, and not the queen bee. So they might have.
I just thought that the water would give him extra power though, like a little boost, an XP boost or something.
Should have soaked it all up and been like
a
sponge. And so that's whenever they're all like, let's get the fuck out of here.
We got to go.
Yeah. And so,
Do you see that abusive couple that's been the whole time like fucking terrible to each other, like arm in arm, looking happy as can be. Everyone else is just being weird and like everyone's staring at them.
Yeah. I was like,
Whispers.
oh no, all the students are different now.
Yeah.
Everybody's being really super weird.
And when you think about it, there's so many kids. And so they could have easily overtaken them. Like those five
like a swarm,
walking out. Yeah.
But they chose not to.
Like zombie, horde just coming over, and
it would have taken like 15 of them. It wouldn't even taken like all of them. Yeah.
But like with that sheer amount, that could have been a terrifying situation. Ugh. Just thinking about how easily it passes too.
It's scary. And so we have everyone is staring at them. They don't want to his friend Usher, which I don't remember his name, but Usher asked him if he wants to play football, and he's like, no, I don't want to play.
He's like, you don't want to play with us?
Yeah. And so they all end up leaving in Zeke's car, and they are trying to leave the town essentially, but they can't because the cops are like basically
they've got a roadblock,
and they're like keeping everybody, and if people are trying to leave, they're turning them into aliens. And so I was like, damn, they really got the police force on this and everything.
They got that hole down on lock. And then they go to Zeke's house though, and I was like, that's smart because he has no family, so we know like no one else is going to be there that could potentially get him.
Yeah.
And we walk into his little
like Breaking Bad all up in there.
Science lab. Yeah, like I said earlier, Walter White.
It's a whole lab.
I've got it.
And they put the pairs. Is that what Breaking Bad is? Walter White? Oh, okay.
Like
I never watched that show, but I know what it is. But yeah. And so they put the parasite into the mouse, and they're just trying to test what it does. And they end up seeing that is like it confirms that, the parasites or these little aliens are what's making the people act crazy like this. And they realize that
killing it. The caffeine pills and stuff that he was like, that's kind of the big secret. And
basically they're
dehydrates.
slugs.
Yeah. They kind of look like the little fishing lure things,
Yeah, an anglerfish.
Like that bait. You know, the stuff you put like onto a little fishing when you fish. I don't fish.
Yeah. Like the real live bait or not?
No, yeah, like the little fake ones.
Lures?
Lures.
No,
fishing lures. I don't know, but they put it on there. It looks like, I don't know. It just looks like a little
plastic one.
Yeah, like a little plastic worm. They got some thicker ones that they put on. I also had this doll in kindergarten. Well, I didn't. It was in the classroom that pooped things that looked like this.
Oh.
It was like you feed it and it poops.
Yeah.
It looked like these things too. Man, it brought back so many things for me.
So nostalgic for Miss Caitlin. And so they end up going through all this experimenting. And then after all of this, they are all looking at each other and they notice that everybody's basically acting different, essentially. And so that's whenever they start kind of turning on each other.
Not a lesbian.
Yeah. They start basically turning on each other and like calling each other out. And at one point, someone called someone Sigourney Weaver, and I was like, what?
Yeah, she,
Was it Delilah?
Yeah, she says, Casey, when did you become Sigourney Weaver? Because they're asking like how it happens in the sci-fi books, and they're like, well, if we kill the master, we kill the queen. Like theoretically, we kill them all.
Yeah.
And they were like, in the books, they all became human again after, but we like. We don't know if that's actually what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point Stan gives a line like, I'm not an alien, I'm discontent. And I was like, damn, Stan.
Come in with the deep lines.
Mood. And then, so they're going against each other. And I think Casey said something at that point being just like, trying to bring like logic and stuff to the situation.
Yeah.
And that's when Delilah says, Casey, when did you become Sigourney Weaver? And I was like,
it made me laugh so much.
I love all the references to the other movies.
At this point,
which gave very Scream too.
The only thing, only thing that they can do is take a hit of the scat. Because that's just essentially, if you take it and you don't die, well, you're not an alien.
Do drugs, don't get abducted by aliens. That's our other PSA, even though I just said PSA earlier saying don't do drugs. Specifically caffeine pills.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah.
Which essentially means why not the both?
Why not the both?
Why not both?
Dang it. I wish I knew how to say that in another language too. I'll figure it out.
And so we have Casey tweaking. No, Stan's tweaking. Someone's tweaking.
Casey is.
Casey, right? He's tweaking pretty bad.
Losing his mind.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's whenever, isn't Stan freak out and he gets the gun?
Yeah, he basically is like, what the hell? And so, Stan picks up the gun and he's like holding it.
Oh, yeah, you guys, there was a gun the whole time here.
Yeah. And fucking Zeke is like, I don't take my own stash. And Stan is like, yeah, I think the fuck not.
Yeah.
You better take it.
Take some.
And then he takes it from, or I guess before he makes him take that, he gets the gun from Stan and then makes Stan take it.
At this point, everybody's taking it.
Yeah. And they're holding a gun to one another while doing it.
Some of them have the giggles.
It's pretty silly.
And some of them are like freaking out. I feel like, well, Casey has the giggles, Stan has the giggles, and Stokely is like looking like she's going through some anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Not really being vocal about it, but she looks troubled.
Whenever she was offered the drugs too, she goes, I'm not putting that like hack drug up my nose. It's so 80s. And I was like, oh, well.
And now we're like, that's so 90s.
Anyways. And he was like, mostly caffeine and some other household shit. And this is where Mary Beth says she's allergic. And I'm like, I feel like she is an alien. I was really onto her at this point.
And so we have her and Delilah going to take it at the same time.
I said her actions are hella weird in her full name too. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But yes, they go to take it at the same time.
And we have suspectingly Mary Beth taking it and nothing happens. But then Delilah doesn't take it. And that's when we're like, holy shit, it's Delilah.
And you hear a little like,
yeah. And you see like these little...
It gave me the mummy.
Veiny thing, something going underneath her skin as well.
Yeah, it was like little bugs crawling all underneath her skin. It was like the mummy.
Yeah, and so, like the scarab beetles. Yeah. You're right. And so she ends up going ham and destroying this whole lab so they can't make more scat, essentially. And then they end up shooting at her.
Stokely was like, please let me kill this bitch.
Yeah.
Takes that gun.
and gets the gun, starts shooting at her. They end up, and she's also just shooting through the neighborhood.
Pew, pew.
Literally. I was just like, oh my God. She's just like shooting into someone's house.
Willy-nilly.
And so seriously. And then that's whenever we have, they're back at the school. They're going to go back to the school. That's right. Because
Delilah escaped. And so they're like, oh, fuck. But then they're also saying like most of the stash is like
back at his where I don't remember.
It's destroyed at this point, and they're just thinking like we have to go kill the queen.
That's
so
right.
They save what's left, and then they are like they're back at the school, and the football game's happening, and they're just like literally infecting the other team.
That's why, yeah. I was like, damn, these football players are strong. That's why all the infected football players are on the field, and they're being instructed to kill, and they're like just
straight up
sacking all the other players from the other team, and then they're gonna infect them, obviously.
And then like these players are getting carried off on stretchers because they're like they're doing like double backflips with how far they're getting kicked into the air. It's insane. And the whole crowd's chanting like, kill, kill, kill. And I was like, ugh.
And so at this point, they're still trying to think of like who's the leader. And so they think that Principal Drake is the leader.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense that she's a principal.
I thought it was Miss Olsen. I thought it was Miss Olsen the whole time, and that she had like
I can see that. Because it seems like she was really orchestrating everything.
Yeah.
Maybe she was just the right hand.
Yeah. And I didn't understand when she got infected with the coach and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, same. Because at first I thought, well, maybe Miss Olsen was at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then why would he talk to her like she was a student? So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just Mary Beth.
I think it was. Yeah. She got to
him
them
first.
Yeah.
Them first.
And so, but I was like, I feel like it's not Miss Drake. I don't know.
Yeah, same. I didn't think it was Miss Drake either at that point.
And then especially whenever she came in and they just kind of like walk right up to her, they get her down with that volleyball net, and then fucking Casey's like, sniff this. And I was like,
and of course she's not going to do
that
it.
easy.
No. And so she's like not going to do it. And then that's whenever they end up shooting her in the head.
Zeke shoots her right dead in the head.
And then they're like, pour the scat on her because they have it in that jar. And Mary Beth starts pouring it on her. And she like uses the whole entire fucking thing.
Oh,
on
this
purpose.
was where I said they overcooked her because Mary Beth dumped the whole ass stash on her.
Yeah.
I didn't use an overcooked baby phrase. As in, like, in the womb too long. We're not cooking babies.
Gotcha. Just overcooked.
I was like, that's why it sounded
Stash.
familiar. Yeah. They overcooked her with all of the scat.
And so we have, I was like, in my notes here, I'm like, no, we're going to need more of that, obviously. But no, she ends up getting rid of most of it. And so that's whenever.
Which also, again, made me, I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah. We then have.
Stan is like, I'm going to go out there and
to the football field to see if it's Coach. Willis, because at this point they're thinking it's not Mrs. Drake, because obviously everything's still going on. And they're
also checking. Well, they were checking to see because everyone was leaving. And so they were checking to see if it was done
that's
too.
right,
and then also brought it just in case it was the coach.
The Willis.
Yeah.
And so he ends up going out there, but right before that, him and Stokely kiss.
Yes, Stokely just goes for it. And she says, I just don't want to never have done that.
And then
I was like, he gonna die.
Yeah, because then he comes back running to the door and he wants to get back in, but that's whenever they're like, take the, the scat. And it's, I think, the last one. And so that's whenever
it was one of there was like, I think 2 or 3 left.
And so they give it to him.
Or maybe that was the last one. It was the last one
because they have to go to the car after that.
That's true.
So
also, whenever he does go out there though, when Stan goes out there and he gets up to the coach, that's an intense scene. I mean, they're all just standing there like soaking in the rain, and he looks like a fucking little tree with like his tentacles coming out of his face. Like they're like little roots soaking up all the water. And the way that it was
cool.
The thunder or the lightning was really flashing cool. And you're getting like kind of almost like an X-ray, like you're seeing his skull and like he's just so paper thin kind of thing.
It was a really cool visual.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought that was a really cool scene. But yeah, then he comes back and all that stuff happens and he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to take this.
Yeah, ends up wasting the last of their scat. And then that's whenever
Stokely's getting like stupid upset. And I was like, girl, you kissed him once.
Super emotional. She loves him.
Yeah, okay.
And that's whenever Zeke is like, there's more scat in the car. So they end up going to,
Zeke and
yeah,
Casey.
That's right. Zeke, not all of them, but Zeke and Casey go to the car.
And Casey's like, why does it really take 2 of us to get this stuff from your car? And then Zeke's like, nope, one of us is a decoy, and sends Casey running.
Yeah. And it works because he does become a decoy, and that's whenever Delilah gets to him and he ends up, or almost is chasing him along with everyone else. He ends up getting into that school bus.
Yep.
And then that's whenever he's like almost basically bites the dust.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a whole ass football team coming after them. The football team is like banging their head through the exit door on the back. Delilah's got him cornered at the front, and he just like narrowly escapes through the
open roof hatch. Yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
Yeah. And then we have Zeke being confronted by Miss Burke,
which he didn't even like see her beforehand. And I was like, he got Miss Burke senses. He was just like, well, Miss Burke, and then again, this was given real.
She was being very tongue in cheek and very flirty vibes, and that's whenever what did he say? Something not in his car. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. He gets in the car, he starts driving, and then she like fucking punts herself through the window.
Yeah, I feel like he had some one-liner, but yeah.
Hello, Zeke boy, you're too tense, honey. Relax. And then like tentacles are coming out of her mouth, and it's like ah. And then all the while he's trying to put on his seatbelt, and I was like, "What, boy? Like, why are you worried about that?" And then he crashes the car, and I was like,
Yeah, so that way
Oh.
she can go flying through or getting off, and then that's whenever her head and her body come apart, but yet
That
it
was
has
funny.
little octopus like tentacles coming out of it.
Yeah, her head's like
To walk
on these
back.
little octopi legs.
To walk, and it's all like lopsided.
Yeah.
To go back to her body. And so he's like getting back out of there. And that's whenever we have Mary Beth and Miss Stokely sitting on the benches waiting for them. And Mary Beth is asking a lot of questions.
She was like, so how does that book of like that, how does that story of yours end? And basically she says the like body snatcher ends with them winning and us losing. And then Mary Beth is like, maybe we really did win. And she was like, Stan didn't look unhappy. It looked like it cleared away his confusion.
Yeah.
And she says, I know you pride yourself on being an outsider, but aren't you tired of being something you're not? And at that point I was like,
Ooh.
yeah, this is fucking
And even
her.
Stokely's face this whole time is kind of like something sounds off. You give him very suspicious
like
vibes.
you're on their side.
Yeah. And so that's whenever I'm like, it's fucking Mary Beth. Because she ends up like hitting Stokely.
And
then,
I thought Delilah, whenever they took it at the same time, because she was the queen, I thought Delilah like made that scene to protect her from getting found out.
That's
but
true.
she had done all that other stuff that I didn't even notice. And so I was like, oh, but yeah. Anyways,
Which what if Delilah would have been the queen bee the whole time?
which I did think it possibly was her too. I was like, oh, it could have, like, while I was watching it through the first time, I was like,
Could have made sense.
yeah, that could. I felt like it could have been her.
And so I really liked,
Like Scream, it has you thinking it's everyone.
and then it's someone else. And then it's the person that you thought it was, but then they made it look like it wasn't. And so that's whenever we have her whole body coming into, like, we get to see what the creature design of it all.
Her
And
fucking tentacle arms.
yeah, I thought it was really, I liked it. I thought it was really funny.
Oh,
And like,
yeah, the tentacle
cool at
arms
the same
out of
time.
her shirt was funny, but then once she turned into her whole
Terrifying.
weird little beta fish form, I was
Yeah.
like, ah! And the way that it ran, whenever it dropped onto all fours and was like, I was like, nope.
So fast, yeah. I would have been screaming for my life because they are screaming and running, and that's whenever they end up going into the pool area.
Yeah, the next room is a fucking pool. I was like, oh, of course.
Of course. Why would you go to the pool, like into its natural element and habitat?
Yup. And she like pulls Stokes
Into
in,
the pool,
and
yeah.
her face when she hits a tile, that was like, ooh, fuck, like I felt it.
I've done
It's
that
good.
before. It hurts.
Oh, I've not done that, but
Jumps
it
to a
looked
pool and like hit
terrible.
your head.
Oh, well, I've done that. I've not tripped on the side though.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
whenever she
no running.
No running, you slip and fall.
I don't understand why Casey was waiting for her there though. I was like, boy, run. I was like, she did.
She's
You
gone.
get out of there.
But he ends up trying to save her life, which he actually does.
And she was fine. And then at this point I was like, this is literally Cloverfield. These are the
Oh yeah,
monsters from Cloverfield.
it did give that vibe.
They kind of looked like them too.
Yeah, the little parasite ones, or like the big creature, the big creature
one.
one. Yeah, that's right, with the face. It did. And so that's whenever they're running away, they get into the locker room areas,
And she's coming out of the water, and I was like, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing more terrifying than a butt naked woman walking out of a pool like that. Like, because you know that they just did some fucked up shit. Like in every horror film, when
Yeah.
you got this like naked woman emerging from the pool,
water,
like so straight, and like they're not struggling at all. Like, because like my bitch ass would be like trying to get
And
out.
I remember this part. I really liked the like how the creature like went from that into her form too.
Yeah,
That
she was like
pretty cool.
she morphed to a little fishy. It
and
was
very
animorphs.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. And so then they end up going into the locker room areas, and they're still getting chased by her, and she's going in there and she's looking for them, and she's talking to them, and that's when we start to figure out that like apparently what their species came from like a planet that was aquatic or something like that.
And
it was
at this
like
point,
oceans.
Zeke has entered too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Zeke came back in, and she was like trying to fool them
Oh,
and
that's
stuff.
right. She was flirting with him.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, she trying to fool him with that voodoo clam.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but also, boy, like she's butt fucking naked and soaking wet. Like that's hella fucking sus. And then she was like, does it bother you, Zeke, my body? She says, I'm just getting used to it myself. And this is where she explains how she got through the drugs. And
That's right.
and then whenever he like goes to like try to stab her, Stokely stops him, and I was like, no, it got her too.
Yeah, because it almost gets her because she's like got her head up onto the gate, the fence, whatever it's called, whatever. You
Oh
call
yeah,
it.
she has Casey's head up on. She's got him at that point. She pulls.
I'm getting them all mixed up.
Oh,
But yes.
yeah. So Stokely stops Zeke from stabbing Mary Beth, and then that was when it was like Stokely also had tentacles coming out of her, and it was like,
oh, you're right.
And
yes,
then
because she got fucking infected when she was in the pool.
And then Casey, like she gets Casey, and they lock her in the thing, but then Casey like falls back at one point, and she like grabs him by the hair, and he like rips his fucking hair out because he's like, no, I'm getting away from you.
Yeah.
And then at this point, Zeke doesn't trust anyone. He's like, even if I have to Men in Black your ass, like, you're going to fucking sniff this. He's trying to get Casey to smell the scat.
And that's whenever, we have him and then what's her face going at it.
Yeah, because then basically after that, we get Casey walking off like high as fuck. Not ideal for staying quiet and logically fighting back, of course. Yeah. But then, Zeke goes flying. Over the top of
not Zeke fucking flying over the fucking what are they called?
Lockers.
Lockers.
Yeah.
There we go.
Because he clears like 4 of them with his body.
Poor guy.
Like, oh God.
He's getting beat up.
And this is where, yes, she says, in my world, there are beautiful oceans as far as the eye can see, but it started drying up. So she came here and she just wants a world without anger, fear, or attitude.
Which honestly
and she's like, wouldn't you like that, Casey? Like you could belong. And he's like, no, nope, I'd rather be afraid.
Not for me today. And so that's whenever, after trying to tempt him, he ends up getting to get away from her for a little bit. And then he evades her and goes into the gym area and gets behind the bleachers. And he starts running through the bleachers because he has this idea of hitting the button. So they start closing. And so
which those are the fastest closing bleachers I've ever seen in my life. They
always really close really slow.
Yeah. And those ones are like...
Yeah. And so for dramatic effect. So he ends up, and it's really scary because she's like right behind him and he's running through the bottom of these bleachers and he ends up getting through the other side. And just as he gets there, just barely, it ends up holding her, the alien, together, Mary Beth. And so she's there stuck, and she's about to she ends up coughing up like little alien babies on him.
Because he holds the stuff up too and he goes, guaranteed to jack you up and makes her snort it. But then, she not before she shoots out those little bugs on him.
Kind of right at the same time. And then that's whenever, we have his one-liner. And I was like, man, that's it. For me, also, it was a little bit anticlimactic. Oh, really? But yeah.
I thought that was a good little build up. Like I was just like also like
I was expecting her to foam up and fizz up more. I think that's all. Yeah. That's it.
Well, it was such a small amount for such of a large being that she was at that point in time. But just probably
right where it needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he stabbed her like right in the middle of her eyes, like forehead area.
Yeah. Whenever those little bugs die and fall out of them, they look like bugles.
Oh, bugle is the chip.
Like the chip. Yeah, falling from his face.
Put them on my finger.
I was like,
and then I accidentally bite my finger.
Oh, that's fair. And then at one point, he just says, like, you wouldn't have liked it here anyway. And I was like, good for you, Casey. You saved them all. And then it was like, okay, well, does everyone go back to normal? He walks up to Stokely a little too trusting.
Right. But yeah, Stokes and Zeke are normal. Stokely is definitely back to normal. And then that's whenever we get like the next day, like kind of a news reeling. Yeah, 1 month later of like the faculty members went missing. Apparently some of them, not all of them, but a few faculty members went missing. And basically just it's like a newsreel basically.
Yeah, and you're getting flashes of like the school saying that everyone's back to normal. The coach is out there saying, you little fuck pukes. And Zeke's now playing football, which is like, what?
And then we see, Stan and
and the way he
waves
to what's her face?
To the Miss Burke?
Yeah. I was like, wait, are they actually fucking now?
Probably.
Oh.
And then we have...
and she had a scarf on around her neck. And I was like, it's just like the ribbon story.
What's the ribbon story?
Where the lady
like
had
the hickey?
No. Where it's like a tall tale where the woman has this like scarf on around her neck all the time and she wears it every day and then gets married and stuff. And then the like husband and love interest is always like, why won't you like show me, like, please tell me like what's under that scarf, blah, 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 blah. And then like as she's dying or she says, I think he gives her the ultimatum of like, if you love me, you would really like, you would take it off, like show me.
Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, like I love you, took it off and her head falls off. It's keeping her head on. That's what it was like.
That is hilarious.
She had that little scarf on around her neck and I was like, her head got chopped off.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because it did. I remember.
It's probably hiding the scar.
Yeah,
Maybe
is.
it didn't heal that.
It could. And then
and was the news source saying there were no extraterrestrial?
Yeah, the FBI is denying everything and like that anything even went down.
Yeah.
They're really keeping it undercover, under wraps, very MIB. And so we have also Stan and Stokely are together. Zeke was smoking on the field.
She's wearing purple.
She's wearing purple, not black. And then we have Delilah and Casey together in the end. He's like a hometown hero. Because she wrote a little piece on him in the little paper that they have at school. And
it's the way that whenever she's like, oh, the news people are here again, he goes, network or local. And I was like, this bitch got used to the fame.
He did.
He was ready. And then as they're walking off, it's kind of a pan out. And she pulls his, you can be pretty cool sometimes, line on him. And then it's actual roll credits.
And that's the end of the faculty.
Yep. So, booze.
Booze. I would say that I would give this a 3.
3. Why is that?
A 3. I give it a 3. I thought it was a pretty cool story. It kind of was like a mix of different horror movies ish. And like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then like The Thing, and then like kind of all those nods to the other movies that Kevin Williamson had made. And I mean, there were certain points where maybe it was like too much in the clutch of like the 90s, too much in that like in that area where it didn't age well, I guess, on some parts. But other than that, I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it did entertain me. I like it. I saw it a long time ago, like on TV once, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And yeah, it was good. It was just kind of right in the middle for me.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I liked it.
Yeah, you liked it?
I'll give it 3.75.
Give it a 3.75.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty clever. I thought the
drugs and like everything being like like what actually stopped them. Like I thought that was pretty smart and pretty cool, and kept it. And like, of course, these are kids or teenagers in the 90s in school, and so they have drugs.
Yeah. And they're, and thankfully, like you do have the, obnoxiously smart kid who is able to do that, but obviously doesn't apply himself and stuff. And all the, like, I feel like all the tropes and stuff that they gave each character really aligned and actually did help round out the story. And while also
the characters were pretty well developed. Sorry.
Yeah. And they were also staying true to like, kind of the very typical 90s, like class, like profiles at the time. Like if you're getting all the main characters, you've got the geek, you've got the
giving the Breakfast Club, but like in a horror movie.
And then they come together and they save humanity. No one actually dies. None of the students do. None of our main students.
So. Yeah,
They're all fine.
They're all fine. I was trying to think if like Miss Drake, I guess, would come back to life.
I guess so. I don't know, but shoot. I mean,
think some in the news thing, it said some of the faculty members did disappear.
Yeah. So I'm assuming some of them probably did die.
Because that was like pretty.
Yeah. But none of our main character students died, which is fine. But overall, like I liked Mary Beth as the villain. She looked really good at the end. She was selling it. I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is a fun movie. I mean, I would tell people to watch it again. So, yeah, 3.75.
3.75 and a 3 from your BooBaes.
That's right. And, but as always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios. They take great care of us.
They really do. You can go check out all the other podcasts that they have on roguemedianetwork.com. And you can also listen to us on your streaming platforms, two of which being Spotify and
also Apple. And wherever you do listen, please don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's the only way we can get ahead in this world. And yeah, get ready. The next bit of our like movies that we're going to cover are our October, like
it's
Halloween.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, double Oktoberfest. Yeah. It is. It's our double feature. We did it last spooky season, right behind our launch. So we're also coming up on a year. Isn't that exciting?
That's fun.
No one cares. Only us. But we did want to Because if you have any thoughts
listening.
about these films and stuff that we're about to let
Give
you
them a
know,
lineup.
you can reach out to us on Instagram though and let us know your thoughts and booze that you would give each of these films, and we'll post this on our social media too, so you know what movies we're going to be covering. But you can reach out to us on Instagram at
BooBaes Podcast, and that is at BOOBAES, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right. And so if you are looking forward to, want to watch these films with us, these are what we're going to be covering. If we're going to have 2 episodes a week coming out every Tuesday and Friday of October to lead us up to Halloween, since it's spooky season. But the first movie we'll be covering is The House is October Built, which is a film that I mentioned long ago when we covered Hellfest, as saying that this is a better iteration, idea, execution of a
I'm excited to watch it.
horror movie, haunted house slasher kind of thing. But it's also found footage, and it's got a lot of creeps. I like it. I personally enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I am excited to watch it through a critical eye now, though. But then next we'll be covering
Grave Encounters,
which is a listener recommendation from a listener named Kelsey. And so we're excited to cover that one. And then after that, we'll be covering Halloween, the newer
Halloween 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
Yes.
And then
Essentially, we'll be covering Halloween Kills as well after that.
yes, to lead up to
Halloween Ends, which comes out the 14th of October.
That's right. And so we'll lead up to that. And then the following week, we're going to covering The Conjuring.
And The Conjuring 2.
That's right. Some big ones.
These are kind of mine and Caitlin's fun for us kind
yeah,
of pick.
we love these and wanted to cover them for so long. We started with our second episode was The Devil Made Me Do It, and we shit on it, but I do love these films.
These are really good.
Yeah.
And then for October 25th,
we're going to cover Mama, which is a listener request from Jeff, who is such a great and interactive listener with us. And he sent us such a beautiful review on it already. And I'm excited to cover that one finally for him. I think it'll be real fun. And then finally, we're going to round it out with
Trick or Treat.
That's right.
Coming out right before Halloween.
What Halloween would it be without Trick or Treat?
Trick or Treat.
And so that's our October film schedule that's going to come up for y'all. So again, if you want to watch these movies with us and send us any of your ideas and stuff and your booze, rating of 1 through 5, 5 being the best, obs, then send it in and we can read your thoughts on the show as well. So
we would love to.
But until then,
bye, Baes.
Bye, Baes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.